Hi, everybody. Welcome to Toolkit Tuesday. Hope you're doing well and hanging in there. Excited today to just bring some tips that we have been learning around working with the technology of virtual events. There's been some great learnings, and I'm committed to sharing those here with our event planning community, and hopefully they'll be useful for you when you're planning your virtual events. The first thing I want to talk about is testing. And I just want to reiterate that a critical piece to this virtual delivery of content is testing, testing, testing. We're accustomed to tech checks and things like that at a live event, but as these technology platforms vary and the skill level of your teams and also the technical ability of your speakers and sponsors and your video assets that you're receiving, they all require enormous testing to ensure a seamless delivery. And so I would highly encourage you to bake into your planning timeline time for testing and training your speakers, testing their audio, their video, testing any virtual trade show booths that you've built. We came up with a concept. We have about 35 booths for an event next week, all virtual, and we are running office hours early next week for vendors to come into their booth. We will drop in, we will look at all their assets, we will schedule a meeting, we will test to make sure their booth staff knows how to handle a event request, meeting request inside the platform. So you've got multiple communities or stakeholders that need to do this testing. It's the speakers, the sponsors, certainly do your guest testing around registration and the user experience, confirmation emails, links, all of those, make sure that they're working. And then your AV team, and your technical team, your technical partner at the platform, you're able to do testing with them and walk through the navigation, make sure everything is working seamlessly. So test, test, test. The other piece of this is the technical support and ensuring that whichever platform you're working with, you have a technical support plan. And what that means, similar to working with an AV company in a live event, you would understand who your technical lead was, and if there's issues, you would escalate things to that person, and then they filter it down for technical support. You need to have, we've been building in an events team that can be more of a guest service manager around technology issues, but you really need those folks on the platform, tech side, to be engaged the day of the event. I would encourage you to start their call times being earlier than your session, and make sure that you have, phone, email, text, any direct link to a technical person. Because what happens here is, if you're in a live event and you go into a ballroom and for some reason the video's lights, camera, action is not working right, you can divert them with shiny objects and say, oh, announcement, join us in the lobby for a quick coffee break as we resolve this issue. When your platform goes down, you don't have any way to distract the attendees. They're expecting that technology to work, and if it doesn't, you need a very quick escalation plan. And by that, again, I mean understanding the context. I used to say to my team for an on-site event, hey, we are going to be on the loading dock at 4 a.m. with 3 semis. Make sure you have the name and cell phone number of whomever will be at the property at 4 a.m. on a Sunday. We need direct contact for the person. For every vendor, you name it, balloons and rental companies. You've worked with a salesperson for months to get things set up, but you need to know who that driver is the day of the show, and what his name, her name, their cell numbers, how to get in contact, a secondary contact in case the semi with the furniture is not rolled up to the dock yet. You need to have those contact people. It's the same with the technology platforms. You need to ensure that you understand fully who your tech team is the day of from the platform side. And then again, we've layered in this event team to handle the clients and customers, speakers and sponsors, but we don't know how to fix things if they go off the rails. We need a technical person that can troubleshoot inside the platform. So making sure that you have your technical plan and technical team identified before you kick off there. The other thing is, the importance here would be the contingency planning. So if you're at a live event and you everyone's seated in a ballroom with 1,000 people and you say lights, camera, action, you need to have a plan in case things don't go as planned. You have to have a contingency plan. When I would do there's the largest software company in the world, we would do events for them, and they'd be having someone on the stage doing a demo, talking and clicking and showing the demo. If something broke with that demo, they had 2 additional machines in the back of house behind the AV team that was running a similar demo side by side. So if the machine on stage stopped, they would quickly reroute to the backup machine in behind the in back of house, so that there was a full-blown simultaneous demo that they could switch if one broke. So really understanding that contingency plan of what do we do if things go wrong. We're used to emergency planning and contingency plans around all of that stuff. What do you do if there's an earthquake, and how are you going to communicate with all of your attendees and their persons of contact? You work through these contingency emergency plans in live events. You really need to have a solid one for virtual events as well. So, if things go down on the platform, you've got your name of your person, you're calling, hey, what's up? All our speakers in the right place, but the technology's not pushing out the content. Have someone troubleshooting that, but have a contingency plan where you have some content in the can, pre-recorded, so that you can kick to some content immediately while they solve the issue. The other thing is having a scripted contingency communication plan for the chat box. If you fire off and the show's supposed to go live and you're having technical issues, there's a reason on the AV teams that you have a switcher and you go to a static slide to figure out why the video isn't working. You need a similar setup when you come to digital events. You need to be able to put a slide up there that says, thank you for joining us this morning. We're having a bit of technical issues. We will be back to give you an update in 5 minutes. A slide that says thank you to our sponsors, and then the chat box you're saying, bear with us, we're having technical issues. We will start a recording in 3 minutes. Something like that, some sort of a communication plan, so the attendees that have logged in and carved out time out of their day to log in, and your team has planned it perfectly, but for some reason there's some tech gremlins and you are not firing off as planned. You need to have backup content, a communication script to be in touch with your attendees and let them know, level set. One of the beautiful things about technology is that you can record sessions and you can make them available post show. If you're sitting in a ballroom, things don't work, it's not being recorded if you haven't planned to do so. It's a one and done, and you could potentially lose a chance for people to consume that content. However, when you're in a virtual platform, even if it's not working at the right time that it was scheduled for, you could still record that content and make it available post-show for your attendees so they don't lose any of the messaging or the content, the valuable content that you've planned. But you do need that contingency plan to work through. If A happens, then what? If this happens, then what? What is the next thing? Make that graph, understand that flow of communication to the attendees and sponsors and speakers. If you have a technical issue, being able to quickly communicate with those speakers that are next up that, hey, we're having issues, plan to record your session as scheduled. It may not be live on the platform, but we will push it out post-show. Give them that heads up, we're having this issue. Or make sure that if you have attendees, again, that they are being communicated with in the chat quickly, and even by a backup email. Hey, we're having technical difficulties, apologize for this, the show will start, or we anticipate this to be resolved shortly, we will restart the show at noon. Something like that, so they can level set and go, okay, not working, I'm gonna click off of the show, take a break, come back at noon, and hopefully they'll have it fixed out by then. People are genuinely, I would say, patient and forgiving around the technical delivery of events because it is so new, but it is about level setting and communication and expectations. So if you don't have a good contingency plan, you can kind of be left in like, what's happened? Everyone's, kind of thinking what's happening. Chat boxes can be like, do you see it? Is it my screen? Is it me as a user error? Or is the show, in fact, being impacted by lack of broadcasting? So you want people to have that understanding of, what the issue is, when it will be resolved. You know, think about yourself sitting on a plane and you don't leave the jetway at the time you were supposed to. Guests that are sitting want to know the status, you know, what's broken, how long do you think it's going to take? If we get there and it's not fixed, come back on and tell us what's happening with it. And so again, people are fairly patient if they understand you're being, you know, and most people understand, despite all your best efforts, there still could be technical issues. So those are some key things today. Test, test, test. Definitely do all your, have your tech team on, you know, on standby and ready to troubleshoot the day of, and then have a contingency plan if the technology doesn't work as scheduled. Hope you're doing well. Again, these are just some short tips for today's Toolkit Tuesday. And if you have any questions, certainly don't hesitate to contact us. You can visit toolkitevent.com. My email is there. You can subscribe to our weekly video session series of Toolkit Tuesday. We have that YouTube channel that has all the videos from past sessions. Feel free to engage with us, and we want to be a resource for all the event planners out there making things work in a new frontier. And wish you guys best, and we'll talk again next Tuesday.